There you go.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Rich Cruz, and welcome to SOGI SC, Breaking Gender Stereotypes in Modern Workplaces. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so welcome to the session. Again, my name is Rich Cruz. My purpose in life is to foster understanding, respect, and unity among individuals through my voice so that we can build a more inclusive world where diversity is celebrated and embraced. So, what you're seeing there are my portfolio, 18 years of HR organization experience with different HR facets, 12 years of which is focused on talent acquisition, talent development, and culture building. And in the past 6 years, I've been doing diversity, equity, and inclusion for ASEAN region and Korea. So I'm a DEI champion last 2023 in Channel Asia WITCA. And they call me as an organizational culture and engagement expert. Been doing design thinking facilitation also, and Six Sigma Yellow Belt certified and a Six Sigma coach. All right. So during the run of our session, you can utilize the chat box. If you have any questions, you can also tap in your question in the Q&A box. And if you want to speak if you have anything to ask, feel free to use the chat box. All right. And to interact with me also. So let's start off with this one. Let me know how are you feeling about this workshop. Are you somehow excited, curious, neutral? Do you feel vulnerable, anxious, or somehow you feel uninterested? So just so we can get a glimpse of what you're feeling right now. Can I see some response in the chat box, please? You can put your answers in the chat box. Oh, okay. Chat is disabled. All right. No problem. So probably okay. So but I hope everyone is feeling positive tonight. If there's any one of you who are feeling uninterested or vulnerable or are being conscious at this point, so please feel free to send me in the Q&A box a note that you're not feeling comfortable in any of our discussion. All right? Okay. So for this session, for the next 1.5 session, we'll be talking about sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, and sexual characteristics. We'll also be tapping on terms related to gender diversity, and we'll be learning more about different gender issues being faced in the workforces and how your understanding about SOGSC can actually make a difference. Okay? But to start off, we'll do this individually because you can utilize the chat box. But I want you to remember your answers in this particular exercise. So this is just a quick review about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Right? Are you ready? Okay. So you just need to match the letter with the numbers. So do you think the first figure that you're seeing in your screen connotes the term equity? Does it connotes the term belonging? Letter B. Does it connotes the term diversity? Or does it connotes the term inclusion? So I'll give you probably 2 to 3 minutes to think about this. On the second figure, do the same. Does it connotes the term equity, belonging, diversity, or inclusion? The third figure, do you think this is more related to equity, belonging, diversity, or inclusion? And so goes with the fourth figure. Okay. I'll give you a minute to think what does this figure connotes. So just share a thumbs up or a thumbs, sorry, a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you're done. All right. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. Thank you for answering. Now let's check individually if your answers are correct. The first symbol or figure actually connotes the term diversity. Diversity is bringing humans with different background in the room. It's about the mix, in short, okay? While on the other hand, the third symbol, I'll jump onto the third symbol. This connotes the word inclusion. It's making everyone seen, heard, and valued. The second symbol connotes the term equity, and it means treating everyone proportionate to their needs to achieve fair outcomes for all. So pretty much giving support to those who need it. And lastly, belonging is a feeling where you feel like a full member or of a larger community and that you can thrive in that particular community. So just a quick recap. Diversity is about the mix. Inclusion is actually making the mix work. Equity is giving support to those who need support in order to thrive in your particular organization or community. And lastly, belonging is the feeling of being a full member in that organization. All right. Okay, so this will just be a quick review before we go directly into our discussion about SOGSC. Now, diversity and inclusion is also focused on all aspects of individual background, experience, and most especially identity. Identity includes attributes that are permanent, some are visible, and some are invisible to other people. Okay? And when we are talking about identity, let's have a meaning onto it. When we talk about identity, these are meanings that we assign to ourselves. This is how we see ourselves or how we actually define ourselves. Identity are not labels or any categories that other people label to us or think of us. And we'll talk more about it in a minute. Identity are also multifaceted and dynamic, as you can see in this figure. Some are considered as internal dimension. Others can be categorized to your external dimension, and even some are being categorized as organizational dimension. So we have these multiple categories, and some of the internal dimension, probably, if you can see on the screen, age, gender, sexual orientation, physical ability, ethnicity, and race. These are just some. There are more into it, but just for the sake of this discussion, I want you to know that this dimension can somehow be interconnected to each other. And this is now where the term intersectionality comes in. So let's say, for instance, in our identity circle, we call this as our identity circle, our gender can affect our income, and it can also affect the type of work or environment that we'll be connecting to later on. Same goes with your sexual orientation. It can affect your recreational habits and the department or unit group that you'll be part of. So you see, this identity can be interconnected, and that's what we call now as intersectionality. A term that was noted by a scholar named Dr. Crenshaw. And recognizing our identity and others increases our understanding of those who might be excluded. But the question is, how does this look like in your workplace? Okay. In the next slide, this is how it looks like in your workplace. It's a busy slide, as you can see, but this actually reflects DEIB in the workplace. I'll go through it one by one. Let's say, for instance, in a team of 4, and you are the leader, you're dealing with 4 different personality altogether, or 4 different identities altogether. And again, these four identities will be different from each other, right? And that is now your diversity. Having different people with different background, different identity in a room. And these people in a workplace definitely will be working together for a common goal, correct? And this is where inclusion comes in. Making these four people work together for a common goal. However, in your organization, definitely not everyone will be at the same phase. Some will need deeper support than those others who are actually excelling. So let's say, for instance, you have a PWD in your organization, or an LGBT, a woman in your organization, or even someone who can speak in English, who have ethnicity issues in your group. So definitely, this is where equity comes in right now. So giving support to those who need it, adjusting your policies or your programs in order for them to be at par to those who are actually excelling or actually doing their work in the organization. And then on the center, you'll see there about inclusive leadership. If you have inclusive leaders in your organization that has commitment to diversity, humility, who's aware of all his biases, who's also curious and have cultural intelligence and effective collaboration, therefore, the team that you have will now have a deep sense of belonging. And this is where belonging comes in. Okay? So the role of an inclusive leader play an important role in driving belonging, equity, and diversity and inclusion in your workforces. Now, if all of this comes together, it will help increase in your team's agility. So we're looking at the figure on the right. It will increase your team's performance, will also increase your team's engagement because they feel they are part of the group. They have the deep sense of belonging. And of course, there will be differentiated innovation because people can speak up, can share what they want, and have that safe space to talk about anything to other people in your team. So that's how it works in the workplace. Later on, all of this, if all of your group in your organization have the same deep sense of belonging, it will later on translate to an increase in your business growth. And later on, will also affect or do societal impact. So that's how important DEI be in the organization. Okay, so this is just a quick review before we move on to Soji. Now, I'll go back to the personality or identity circle. One area in our internal dimension of our gender, of our personality, is called gender and sexual orientation. And these are the things that we'll be discussing in the next in the succeeding slides. But before we go into that, I want to share with you this slide. In 2015, at the UN Convention, member countries of the United Nations have identified 17 goals to transform our world. And two areas of this particular goal focuses on gender equality and reduces inequality. That's number 5 and number 10. This focuses on DEI. While organization or DEI is actually constructed for workplaces, in developmental sector, the framework is called now GEDSI, Gender Equality, Disability, and Social Inclusion. So this slide just shows that even countries are actually looking at reducing inequalities and having gender equality in the world. So yeah, so all right. In the next slide now, you're seeing the different issues that are that we are facing in the workplace, particularly on gender. Number one of which is gender discrimination. Believe it or not, this is happening, particularly in hiring resources. Some are not being hired for a position because of their gender, and that's already discrimination. There are a lot of the other discrimination that's happening in the workplace, particularly on gender. So I want you to reflect back in your individual organization if gender discrimination is also happening in your workplaces. Homophobia and transphobia. When we talk about homophobia, these are actually irrational fear of homosexual feeling. And when we talk about transphobia, another irrational fear about transgender. I have firsthand experience about this because as a DEI consultant, I work with different companies. And one manager that I speak with, if I may just share, um, during my consultation with him, he had this fear of working with his direct report, who is a transgender. And when we talk, we deep dive what's the reason behind why there's a fear, why can't she speak up openly to that person. We found out, or I found out during that conversation, that he has this irrational fear or not a deeper understanding about transgender, and thus there's a wall between them that both of the two sides can actually share their experiences in the workplace. So it also affects the productivity of the people. Gender pay gap. Yes, this is happening. This is still happening. There's a large pay gap between men and women, women and men and LGBT, men and women and LGBT. So this is still happening in different workplaces. Harassment is another thing that is continuously happening in workplaces. And microaggression. Microaggression are small things that we utter to people, and sometimes we do it into jokes. But in reality, this actually hurt the other people, particularly the other gender. And if it's happening regularly, it turns out to be like cuts of a thousand knife that somehow it affects the person and it will leads to the person being excluded or sometimes being sick. And on a worst case scenario, people commit suicide because of this. So all of these issues, gender issues, are still happening in the workplaces. And if people just learn to understand about SOGI SC, and later on, as we go through it, reflect back on this issue and see how SOGI SC can actually help eliminate or probably lessen the issues that we have in our workplaces, particularly on gender. Okay? But my question to you now is, what do you know about SOGI SC? Okay? We're not we don't have access to the chat box. So I want you to reflect at this point. What's your understanding about SOGI SC? Aside from, yes, it's sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, and sexual characteristics. On a deeper level, have you heard of SOGI SC? What are you feeling about SOGI SC, and what do you know about it? All right. Before we deep dive into the definition of SOGI ST and the other characteristics about SOGI ST, let's have this quick activity. I want you to get a piece of paper. If you don't have a piece of paper, you can use the notepad in your computers. If you have a piece of paper, please fold the paper into four and let's try to build a unicorn. All right? So in building your unicorn, let's start off by folding your paper into four. Okay. Does everyone have a paper? Can I see a reaction, please? Okay? So if you're ready, please fold the paper into 4. And now, on the upper left corner of your paper, or upper right-hand corner of your paper, kindly indicate there the word heart and try to answer this question. What kind of person does your unicorn love? With whom is the unicorn attracted to romantically? And with whom does your unicorn attracted to sexually? So let's try to build the heart of your unicorn in the upper right corner of your paper. All right? Let's go now to the upper left corner of your paper. And we'll be talking about the brain of your unicorn. Let's try to answer these questions. How does your unicorn identify as? And what's the unicorn's sense of being? Right? Okay. Now let's go to the lower right corner of your paper. Let's talk about the presentation of your unicorn. How does your unicorn express? What does your unicorn choose to wear? So elaborate there the clothing of your unicorn. And then, how does your unicorn move and act? Right? So that is the presentation of your unicorn. And lastly, on the lower left side of your paper, let's try to build the body of your unicorn. What does your unicorn look like physically? So elaborate further. How does your unicorn look like physically? Does he have a long nose, have a colorful tail, etc., etc.? So how does he look like physically? And then, what are the unicorn's sexual characteristics? Right? So what's in between the legs of your unicorn? Okay. So can I see a reaction if you're done? All right. Okay. All right. So what we're gonna do now is fold your paper into 4 again and keep that paper somewhere safe because we'll go back to that later on. All right? If you're using a notepad or a laptop to write this answer, just save it somewhere. Then we'll go back to your unicorn later on. And this leads us now to this discussion of SOGI SC. And in this next topic, for the next half hour, we'll be talking each letter of SOGI SC. And we'll start off with sexual characteristics by defining gender and sex. All right? So what is gender or gender and sex? Sex is actually something that is assigned to you at birth. This is what the doctors see, biological and anatomical. Okay? So when we talk about sex, this is something related to your genitalia. So for female, we are talking about the female genitalia, which consists of the XX chromosome. And for the male, we are talking about the male genitalia, which also consists about talks about the XY chromosome. So female, we're talking about the vagina. For male, we are talking about the penis of the person. And the third characteristics is called intersex. This is actually a combination of both the male and female biological characteristics, either through chromosomes or genital. Yes, there are people who have both male and female reproductive organ. Right? So that's how we define sex. And next time, if you are filling up some application form probably and you're asked about sex, we did that form is actually referring to your characteristics as male sex with male reproductive system or female sex with female reproductive system or an intersex. Okay. However, when we talk about gender, this is where the concept of maleness or masculinity or femaleness or femininity comes in. This is based on your psychological features or role attributes that society assigned to biological sex. All right? So this is a concept of maleness or masculinity and femaleness or femininity. And we'll talk more about gender in the succeeding slides that we have. But that's how we differentiate sex from gender. Sex is based on what you see between your legs. So based on your male or female genitalia, while gender is psychological features and role attributes. Okay? So for the next part, we'll be talking about sexual orientation. And when we talk about sexual orientation, this actually answers the question, who am I attracted with? Usually it's being answered by I'm attracted to blank. All right? Sexual orientation is who you are physically, spiritually, emotionally attracted to. So we're talking about sexual or emotional attraction. Okay? This refers to person capacity to profound emotional, affectional, and sexual attraction to, as well as intimate and sexual relation with individuals of different gender, same gender, or more than one gender. Okay? So for the sake of our discussion today, I'll be talking about the basic sexual orientation. But again, there's a lot of other sexual orientation above this 5. Okay? But for the sake of our discussion, we'll be talking about these 5 basic sexual orientation. And we'll start off with the 2 on the left and on the right side of your screen, which are the heterosexual and the homosexual sexual orientation. When we say heterosexual sexual orientation, this is a person who is sexually, physically, and romantically attracted to member of opposite sex. Opposite sex or gender. While on the other hand, on the other side of the spectrum or other side of the line, homosexual are person who is sexually, physically, and romantically attracted to member of same sex or gender. So heterosexual, member of opposite gender or sex, homosexual, member of the same sex or gender. Okay? Let's deep dive into the spectrum. Bisexual are individuals who is sexually, romantically, or physically attracted to individuals of more than one gender. So we're talking about more than just one gender. On the other hand, ace or asexual sexual orientation, our person generally does not feel sexual attraction or desire to any group of people. Okay? So they just don't have that feeling of attraction to any of the other gender. Okay? Take note, asexuality is different from celibacy. When we talk about celibacy, there's an intention. You're really not being sexually attracted to anyone because you want that. You have an intention. While on the other hand, when we talk about asexuality, this is more of a feeling. You just don't have that feeling of attraction to any group of people. Sexual attraction, if I'm talking about sexuality here. Okay, so that's asexual. On the center, you're seeing there the pansexual sexual orientation. This is a person capable of sexual, physical, and romantic attraction to other regardless of their gender identity or biological sex. Okay? One thing to note here, as mentioned, these are just 5. The list is growing. There are people that we also called as demisexual, someone who's attracted through physical connection, personal connection. We also have others who are called as omnisexual, someone who's attracted to gender, but gender is considered. Polysexual, someone attracted to more than just one gender or not at all to any gender. And there's a lot of other lists of sexual orientation. But just to give you a quick view on this, we have these 5 as the basic. And one thing to note here is that everyone is equal in the spectrum. It doesn't mean that you're on the left side, you're lesser because the other side, the heterosexual, is better. No, all right? Everyone is equal in the spectrum. And when we talk about love and attraction, it is not right to tell others what and who to love because love is love. And now, on my next slide, I have here a video. Probably some of you might already seen this, but this actually reflects more about sexual orientation.
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
My heart doesn't see race.
Love has no age limit.
That's my best friend.
We are neighbors and best friends.
We all have different religions, but we have universal love as well.
I love my sister.
Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Not crying on Sunday.
All right. So love is love, and that's on sexual orientation. Now let's go to the next topic, which we called as gender identity. And when we talk about gender identity, this answers the question, how do I want to see myself? I see myself as this, okay? A while ago, we've talked about the identity circle, right? And one area in the identity circle is talking about gender identity. And as mentioned, when we talk about gender identity or identity as a whole, it's only you who can say what your identity is, what your gender identity is. Okay? Now, what is gender identity? Gender identity is who you think you are regardless of your biological sex. Gender identity can be thought of as an aspect of maness and womanness. You can either do or don't align with it. In this case, we are talking about norms placed upon men and women in the society, right? So for some, they would undergo some medical, surgical modification on their body in order to be aligned to the gender that they identified with. Okay? So that's gender identity. And this is the spectrum. So again, this is the basic only. There are other gender identities lists, but for the sake of this discussion, we'll be talking about cisgender, genderqueer, and transgender. When we are talking about gender or cisgender or gender binary, these are people who conforms exclusively to feminine and masculine identity. These are people who are not transgender or gender fluid. On the other hand, when we're talking about gender queer, this is an umbrella term that denotes or people that denotes themselves as having fixed gender. This includes gender fluid, a gender non-binary individual. And lastly, when we talk about transgender, these are people whose gender identity or gender expression differ from what is typically associated with their sex assigned at birth. So in a scientific term, when we say cis or cis, this in science, this remain to be the same. And when we say trans or trans in science, we are talking about something to do with change, okay? So transgender people actually undergo a lot of transition. And transition doesn't happen overnight. What you're seeing on your screen are just some steps that people on transition get involved to. Some will have personal transition. Others will focus or have social transition. Some will also have legal transition. And some transgender undergo medical transition. This is where trans man and trans women comes in. Okay? And when we're talking about gender identity, as mentioned a while ago, it is us who it's only us who can say what's our gender identity. People around us can never tell us what our gender identities. Same goes with your pronouns. This is where pronouns comes in. The main functions of pronouns is to replace noun. Because of this, they are used in sentences in similar ways as nouns. Hence, they are extension of someone's gender because some pronouns carry gender in them like names, okay? So if you want to ask someone's pronoun, offer yours first. If you're seeing my screen right now, you'll see there my pronouns. My pronouns is he, him, his. I actually experienced a lot of discrimination in the past or mispronunciation in the past because of my name. My whole name is Rich Ann Cruz. And for most people, they think that Rich Ann is actually a female name. They connote it to a female person. That's why right now, in anything that I do, I used to have my pronouns in my email signature, in my meetings. So you'll always see my pronouns. And I encourage you to do the same. Okay? So again, using someone's correct personal pronoun is a way to respect them and create inclusive environment. Just as using person's name, they can be a way to respect them. So your pronouns can be she, her, he, him. Some will use they, them, and that's fine. Some will use he, him, they, them, she, hers. All right? So that's on gender identity. Now, when we're talking about gender expression, we are talking about who am I on the outside. This is now what people see on you on the outside and how you present yourself to people outside. I present myself as. Okay? Gender expression, it's how you demonstrate who you are, the way you display your gender through your action, dress, demeanor, and more, your outward-facing self, and how this presentation are interpreted by others based on the gender norms. As example, masculine clothes might be considered as baggy. So for feminine, wearing fitted clothes, short sleeves. So, you know, society dictates the gender expression, but just that, again, external manifestation of your gender, that's your gender expression. Okay? And when we talk about gender expression, there's one thing to remember. It is wrong to use a person's gender expression to determine his or her sexual orientation and gender identity. Okay? Gender expression is what you just see on the outside. And for this discussion, we'll be talking about 4 gender expression. We have androgynous gender expression. These are individuals who express themselves with combination of masculine and feminine characteristics. Of course, feminine, people who have qualities or appearance totally associated with women. Gender neutral gender expression are individuals whose gender expression is different from conventional conventional expectation of masculinity and femininity. And lastly, masculine gender expression, these are people who have qualities or appearance typically associated with male characteristics. Okay? Now the question is, when we talk about gender expression, usually we relate it, sometimes we relate it to colors and even to our kids, right? When we talk about gender to kids, blue is for boys, pink is for girls. Cars is for toys, doll is for girls. But is it right to do this? Now, and when is the best time to talk about gender with your kids? So I have here a quick video that just shows why is it important to...
How do I talk to my kid about gender? Little kids get ideas about what it means to be a girl or boy from the world around them, from you and from other people in your family, from TV, books, and movies, and from other kids they know. It starts from the moment they're born. Think gender reveal parties, pink nurseries for girls, blue ones for boys, princesses for girls, and superheroes for boys. There's nothing wrong with blue or pink, but sometimes the toys, books, and words you choose can send the message that there's a right and wrong way for them to be a boy or girl. For example, if only little girls play with princess dolls and only little boys play with superheroes, it sends the message that girls should focus on looking pretty and finding a prince, while boys should focus on fighting and winning. When you pick a new toy or book, or sign your kid up for a new activity, ask yourself these questions. Would I feel comfortable with this if my kid wasn't the gender they are? Why or why not? Does this expand or limit my kids' expectations of who they could grow up to be? Does my kid already like things like this, or am I picking it because of their gender? Making choices that defy gender stereotypes can help your kid grow up feeling like their gender won't limit what they can do with their lives. And that's a good thing if we want to live in a world where everyone has a shot at achieving their dreams. The idea is to make sure that whether your daughter dreams of being a firefighter, a scientist, or a parent, and whether your son dreams of being a teacher, a parent, or a professional athlete, that they feel loved and supported in following what they're passionate about. So give them choices, follow their interests, and let their imaginations lead the way. Want to learn?
All right. And that's gender expression. So as early as kids, we need to already encourage children to learn about gender, right? So colors, blue and pink are just color. These are genderless. Toys are genderless. Let kids play with the toys that they want to play, because later on in life, they will benefit from it. Okay? SOGI is a spectrum. It actually presents on a line to connote that we are all equal in the spectrum. No one is above or beneath us. So what you're seeing on the screen are some famous celebrities who identify themselves, their SOGI ST, based on what they presented on the social media. Okay, like for example, Ellen DeGeneres consider herself as gay, who is happily married to Portia de Rossi. Elliot Page, the Umbrella Academy person or actor, described himself as a non-binary transgender. Anderson Cooper, the CNN reporter, described himself as an openly gay person. Elton John, a strong LGBTQ advocate, identified himself as a homosexual. And Maddie Morphosis, this is his gender expression. He is the first openly heterosexual male contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race. Lastly, Caitlyn Jenner, a transgender athlete. So when we talk about SOGI ST, everyone deserves respect regardless of their SOGI ST. And when we talk about SOGI ST, this is not limited to the LGBTQ community. Every one of us has SOGI. Okay? Now, I want to talk about a not so famous celebrity. This boy that you're seeing right now is myself, who has turned into a homosexual. So let's deep dive on my SOGI ST. My sexual characteristics is male. I have a male genitalia. Sexual orientation, I'm a homosexual. Gender identity, I'm a gender queer. And gender expression, I present myself more on a masculine, but there are also times that I present myself on a feminine side. All right? So yeah, that's myself. When we talk about SOGI ST, remember that gender expression is the only component that you see on the outside. The rest are internal, so you cannot guess or assume someone else's SOGI. The question now is, how do I know what the SOGI ST of a person? You ask the person directly. And it's not just asking the person. Remember the 3 letters CIA when you ask a question to the persons about his SOGI ST. Check the content of your message. What info do you need? Check the intention, why you're asking that question. And lastly, the approach. How will you ask that question? So if you have these 3 as positive, you have the right content, right intent, and right approach, you can ask the person SOGI ST, and that person would actually be more he'll be more happy to share about his SOGI ST. But if your intention is to discriminate and your approach is not right, then better not ask that question anymore. Not ask about the SOGI ST of the person. Okay? Now, remember our activity a while ago about the unicorn? I want you to open it again. Then let's reflect about the sexual orientation, the heart of your unicorn, the gender identity or the brain of your unicorn, the gender expression or how your unicorn look like on the outside, what your unicorn wear on the outside, and the sexual characteristics of your unicorn. Again, we're talking about not about a person here. We're talking about a unicorn that you created from scratch a while ago. Okay? So look at it as the heart, the sexual orientation of your unicorn, gender identity of your unicorn, the gender expression of your unicorn, and the sexual characteristics of your unicorn. Okay? All right. So we still have 10 minutes, but I have one more activity for you before we end. Can I ask everyone to just close their eyes for a minute? Close your eyes and let's try to reimagine the world. Imagine what will it be like to live in an inclusive world? How does that inclusive world look like? And in that imagination, try to see the difference of that world to our world right now. Try to feel that world and try to hear what people are talking about in that world that is more inclusive for people of all gender, of all disability. Next thing to think about, what did you contribute to be in that world? All right, now please open your eyes and let's go back to our world. There's a lot of things to do. Let's make this change. And again, change start with us. So we have a lot of work to do to build a more inclusive world for everyone. So now I'll be taking on questions. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay. So if you have questions, we have 3 in Q&A. Okay. So please post your question in the chat box. And I think we'll be sharing a one slide to everyone about the summary of our discussion. But before that, is there any question? All right. So if you don't have any other questions, thank you for joining us this session. And let me just go back to my screen again. And if you have, you want to have more talks like this and want to have some DEI consultation or DEI talks about SOGSC, feel free to reach out to me and let's connect on LinkedIn. Right? So with that, thank you everyone. And let's continue to build a more inclusive world for everyone.
Good job, Rich.
Thank you, everyone.
Great work, man.
Okay.
Fantastic information. Oh.
Still have some people online. Okay. All right. How was it?
And I loved it.
Properly, and the feedback.
I learned so much because there's actually a piece that I teach on the certification where we cover the LGBTQ plus community. But the way you covered it and the terms you introduced, especially how you define and differentiate it between sex and gender, I have gotten into so long protracted conversations trying to distinguish between the two. I think you did a phenomenal job there. And that
Thank
Sochi
you.
thing, how you explained that was really, really good. And some of your images. By the way, your presentation, do you send that out or is that something that you just only share during your presentation?
It's something that I work on for the past 3 years already. So just keep updating that presentation. There's new thing that I learned also.
It's funny as you facilitate these courses. So let me stop the recording. As you facilitate these courses, that's what's required. Where's the recording? Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's still recording.
So you have to save it to the cloud. But it requires constant updating because you're learning more and more each day how to present what you talked about better. I was wondering why didn't you do a little introduction of the history, because I mean, maybe you didn't have time, like the cafeteria riot.
Usually we when I do this session, it lasted for 1.5 to 2 hours. Yeah. So I need to cut off several talking points, several items. And the thing here is I want it to be more what I envisioned actually when I start the presentation, is to have it more interactive. But at the start, remember, we don't have a chat. We don't have a so
the next time you do it, because when you're in webinar mode, there's a lot of limitations. And when I teach it in I can't think what it's called, but it allows them to come off mute. And I think how you presented this, it would have been great to have an organic conversation built into how you would.
That's actually the intention initially, but I need to adjust given that it will be on the webinar session. And I think more people will also learn this way once the recording will be released.
Yeah, like I said, I made several notes here and wrote down some things. I like that one image you showed where you had everybody close their eyes as a part of an exercise, and then each represented different segments of the population, how people identify size, level of abilities, and all of that. So I thought that was really good, really good. But you were saying, why didn't you talk a little bit about the history? Because you didn't have enough time to introduce the.
Yeah, I'm thinking to include the history about George Floyd and everything else in the background.
No. But I was thinking about like the Stonewall riots, the Compton cafeteria. I mean,
I plan to have it, but I remove it because I'm timing everything. The good thing here is we actually finished 4 minutes earlier or 5 minutes earlier.
But I can see how if the next time you do it, have it in where it's more interactive. This could last 2-3 hours easy.
Exactly, and that's where the conversation comes in. Because when I do DEI session, I find it more interesting when people are talking also, when people are giving their thoughts and asking questions, and two-way conversation rather than a one-way discussion.
Yeah. I personally, I won't say I won't do these, but I don't do these because I'd rather hear what's on people's minds so I can give them information to correct what they already know, and then give them information that they didn't know to begin with. Like a lot of the information you gave, even how you was explaining the gender identity. Great.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. Well,
okay. All right, sounds good. So probably if you can share a copy of the recording before sharing it.
Okay, you have to save it or stop it. Let me see if I can take host. If I can regain host.
Oh, okay. I'll stop it now. Yeah.